Hey, it's Laura.
It's Amanda.
And we are Moms on a Mission,
where faith, motherhood, and purpose come together.
We're not just raising children, we're raising disciples, striving to make an eternal impact in our homes and beyond.
Here, we choose grace over guilt, progress over perfection, and God's truth over the world's noise.
Together, we'll encourage, uplift, and equip one another to walk boldly in our calling as mothers on a mission.
So, grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's dive into this journey of faith-filled motherhood, one step, one prayer, and one mission at a time. All right, welcome back to Moms on a Mission. I have no clue what episode this is now because we've missed a few weeks.
I think we're at 14, but I am so glad to be back after we got a little off schedule.
Yeah, well, that could not be helped because poor Laura, she was down and out.
I got rocked. I'm not even sure what it was. Stomach bug, virus, all of the above.
She had summer sickness, which makes it even worse.
It was terrible, and I do apologize because this throws off our episode recording with our husbands, which we're still going to get to.
Yes, we are going to do it, but I mean, they act like they're busy, like they have businesses and jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's super annoying because we can't get them in the same room at the same time.
We're working on it.
We want them. But anyways, we will get there. We just got to get them. We got to get us all back together.
Yes, because we had it planned, and I threw a monkey wrench into things when I got sick.
The Lord said nope. He said,
not
can't
today.
happen. And the only way he knew it wasn't going to happen is if he took Laura out,
Yep.
like down and out, hardcore.
And he got me.
Yeah, but she's all better now. And
Bounce back. I'm good.
Yes, summer sickness is over. Woohoo!
I'm good.
So we have a really cool topic that we want to talk about today. And I think it's cool because it's something that we all deal with as moms, but especially in the summertime sometimes because we get to do fun stuff.
Yes.
And so I have on my notes, what is your guilt factor? And our guilt factor topic today for our mom guilt is spending time and especially money on ourselves.
Yes. And this actually came in as some feedback from a listener.
Yes.
And said that they wanted us to speak in on this. So we thought that we would go this route and kind of talk about what we would consider permission to pour.
Ooh.
Battling the guilt of spending on yourself.
Yes.
And I think that we can definitely tackle this one. And so, I mean, let's dive in.
All right, let's do it. We always try to start off with a prayer.
Yep.
So
let's open with a prayer.
All right, let's do it.
Lord, thank you for entrusting us with the gift of motherhood. As we pour ourselves out daily, remind us that rest and renewal are part of your design. We ask that you quiet the guilt that tries to steal our joy and help us walk in freedom and in wisdom. And in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And I just want to add to that, we really try to make these episodes a little bit timeless. There's a lot going on in our nation right now. There have been some things going on overseas with Israel and Iran, and that's kind of where we're at right now. So I feel like we just need to mention that we are deeply praying for protection and guidance from our leaders of our nation to protect ourselves, our family, our country, and our leaders and all of those around us, and especially those who have been deeply affected by what's going on right now, politically and culturally.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into it. So our guilt factor is spending time and especially money on ourselves. And I feel like this can be a really big thing when we're talking about summertime, especially because kids are at home, right? And so moms have to, a lot of times, they may go into other care. They might be, at Boys and Girls Club, or they might be at different clubs and different, activities during the summer. But there's still a lot of time where, we have to make sure that we're there, that we're at home. We spend a lot more time keeping them busy and at the pool and taking them to the lake and stuff like that. And for me, I get to go and do a lot of that stuff, and my husband doesn't,
right?
Which that makes me feel a little guilty.
Yeah, and you and I are one and the same in that we're blessed. We have the flexibility to basically hang out with our kids all summer long.
Yep.
And I think I've mentioned this, but we make a summer bucket list at the beginning of the summer, and it's got, 24, 25 items on it that we make together. Mm-hmm. Everything is within reason. Nothing too extravagant. And some things are as simple as like family movie night or family game night.
Yeah.
And then other things are, we're going to the beach. A couple of the items that they've put on there is, watch fireworks, which we plan on doing when we're
Yes.
camping up at Lake Burton for the 4th of July. So we'll get to check that one off. Water balloon fights,
Love it.
hot tub glow parties.
Ooh, fun.
So, it's not anything crazy.
Right. One that you told me about before I really loved was visiting a new town.
Yes.
You guys like to visit a new town
We do.
every summer.
And I think for that one this summer, we're going to try to go up to, I think it's considered Mooresville, North Carolina.
Ooh, okay.
Which is where, if you haven't looked it up, Kerrigan Farms. It is a rock quarry that doubles as a swimming hole.
What?
Which is amazing.
Cool.
And they have rope swings that swing into the quarry. And again, they sell tickets so that it's not overcrowded. Nice. You have to have a ticket to go, and they sell like AM tickets and PM tickets. So you either swim in the morning or in the afternoon, but they're like 4 or 5 hour time slots. And on site, they have food trucks.
Oh, cool.
Various vendors, picnic tables, all kinds of stuff. Kerrigan Farms, it's amazing.
That sounds
and
awesome.
So that's where we're going to try to scoot and go to a new town this summer and simultaneously check out that place, which will be just amazing. But I say all that also knowing the flip side of it is that I've got girlfriends that they still have to work all summer long.
Yep.
They don't get to go and do with their kids like we do. They still got a, 9 to 5 job.
Yep.
And so their memory making is limited to in the evenings and on the weekends.
Right.
So I think that it definitely comes from 2 different avenues, whether you're either guilty with being able to go and do and spend and make these memories, or are you guilty that you're sitting in your cubicle?
Right. Yeah, that's very true. I was kind of thinking of it more from like, oh, well, I get to go and do with the kids and he doesn't. But there is totally that factor because I know even just on, because we work from home. And so on those little times where I have to be like yesterday, I spent the whole day on the computer.
No.
But I was still at home with the boys. It was just that they were doing nothing at all besides melting their brains in front of the TV. And I'm sitting at my computer and, like getting them, I give them chores and stuff like that. But really overall, they do nothing if I'm not, like, all right, let's go do
also
this.
engaged.
Yeah. And so there is that guilt factor too of like, especially if you have to be gone all week, every day, all day there, oh, well, the kids are having a summer, but you're not really, having that summer. So yeah, that's definitely, I hadn't really thought about that kind of way of it. I also I had a conversation the other day with a friend, and she was talking about doing a girls trip. She was invited on a girls trip. I just got back from a girls trip, so I knew exactly how she was feeling. And she was like, I've never done this before. I've never gone like without the family and just the girls. She's like, I'm totally excited.
Are you meaning like a specific girls trip in the summertime?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. She was getting ready for a girls trip. She was invited on a trip but she was feeling guilty about it. And she was like, part of me feels really guilty because my kids are going to be at home summertime. My husband doesn't get to go and experience this new place we've never been. She's like, but then the other part of me is super excited because I'm getting to go a new place. I'm getting to, have an independent experience. And I was like, oh, I just did this.
No.
I went to Colorado. I felt totally guilty because my youngest really wants to go to Colorado.
Yeah.
And Matt didn't get to go. It was just me and my friend. And I was like, here, let me give you the rundown. Total honesty, okay? This is total honesty. I was like, you're going to feel so guilty until the second you leave. You are going to like probably cry a little. You're going to try to talk yourself out of it and be like, you shouldn't be doing this. This is not, hey, this is not fair, whatever, but you're still going to go because you've planned it and you should go. And then you're going to get away and you're going to get to the airport or whatever. And you're going to be like, okay, I'm excited now.
Yeah, let's roll.
And then by the time they're calling you and, you're going to, it's not that you're pretending that you miss them because you do miss them and you so wish they were there with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, you're like, Yeah, but this
a,
is
a
awesome.
little break. A little break, because
Yes.
let's say too that and by no means are our husbands on vacation every day while they're at work. Not having to deal with the kids
Mm-hmm.
generally through the week is, it's not even something that I would say that they enjoy, but
They're adulting though.
they are,
They're adulting.
they are, but when they get home, and I know especially for Josh, it takes about 0.2 seconds for him to experience the boys in an argument or, griping about something.
Yes.
And he'll tell them to knock it off, cut it out, whatever. And I'm like, I've already said this 76 times today.
Uh-huh.
And so just, having a little bit of grace with them and whatnot. But I still feel like they do miss out on so much.
Yeah.
And the guilt is real, even from their perspective, because, again, if it's nice outside, we're trying to go and do
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
And we try to save the rainy days for the Nintendos, the PlayStation. But like you, if I'm on some sort of business call or even maybe editing some photos or something, I'll let it slide that they can do that while I'm trying to knock out work stuff. But I do feel like there have been times where Josh has said, what did you and the kids go and do today? And I'll tell him whatever it was. And he's like, oh, that sounds pretty fun.
I know.
And I'm like,
I
it
know.
was.
And then you show them the pictures and you're like, look at this.
Yep.
You didn't get to go. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. So we try to be super intentional with our weekends for getting to go and do with Dad and knock off some of those summer bucket list items that we come up with so that he can be a part of them too.
Yeah.
I don't want this list to just be the boys and I checking everything off without his involvement.
No. So like one thing we're trying to do this summer is we want to check off state parks. Like we got the state park. We actually got a national park book. But those are harder to check off.
Yeah.
So we have a few of those, but we also have the Georgia State Park book, and we're trying to check off as many as possible. So, at first Matt was like, oh my gosh, y'all can do that on your own. But now he's like, I've seen him flipping through the book a few times of like, oh, we're, that one's not too far. Like when we're there, he doesn't like taking a detour, Lord knows.
Oh, right, yeah.
But when we get there, when we've taken the detour, it's a good time. Like we get to experience it. We get to check that thing off the list, and it's a fun like family thing. So there's probably some balance and stuff like that where he's like, I'm okay if I go. Like it's cool if he goes and we all have a great time. But if we check a few off without him,
that's okay
that's
too.
probably okay too. And like, some of the pool experiences or splash pads, Dad kind of usually is like,
I'll pass on that
because they just sit in the sidelines, sweat to death.
Yeah. Now you guys are trying to do this both as camping trips and day trips, right?
So yeah, well we have so far we've checked off 7 out of the book, and so we hit 4 in one day because a lot of them like around here we've experienced all the things that the park offers.
All the local ones.
Yes, like Unicoi, Smithgall Woods, some of those that are close to us. We've done those so many times. So we went ahead and went to the parks. We got the stamp for the ones that we've done a lot anyway.
Sure.
And then some of the newer ones, like we went camping this past weekend and we realized we were right next to it, literally 5 minutes down the road from State Park.
Oh, okay.
So we went to that state park. We got the stamp at the visitor center, and I was like, "What's the one thing if we were going to do in the park that we have to do?" And the guy was like, "Oh, that's easy." And he told us 2 little things to walk down the trail and look at. So I feel like like we did that. Like
sure, yeah,
we did it. We did the one top thing at the park, then we can always come back if we want to do, But I mean, hiking a trail is typically hiking a trail unless there's normally or there's a cool waterfall at the top or some kind of cool swimming hole, but usually that's going to be a must-see spot anyways, so that's kind of how we've been doing it. The national park ones, those are harder because there's parks, but there's also sites. But if you're going to a site, you kind of have to do that thing that day, It's usually like a tour or,
Oh,
a
gotcha.
cave or something like that. So they're a bit bigger. But yeah, we've tried to kind of combine them. And like I said, Matt's been kind of good about, he doesn't want to detour at all.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, if we're going to drive right by it,
Then we can stop.
yeah, he might pull in the parking lot and let us get the stamp.
Fantastic.
He'll even walk a trail, believe it or not.
He's a trooper.
He is. He really is.
He's a trooper. So why do you think that moms feel guilty for enjoying themselves? Do you think that it is more cultural and internal pressures? You think it's because we fear that we are being selfish? Or do you think that we have just kind of self-imposed and misplaced like these badges of busy honor on ourselves?
It's probably a little bit of all those things. I mean, I I feel super guilty if I'm just kind of sitting around and not doing much, even though like I could have gotten 1,000 things. The other day I got more done by 6 a.m. than like,
Did for the rest of the week?
yeah, like, and I still like I didn't stop during the day. I just kept going and kept going because I just don't. I don't feel settled. I feel like you should be doing something. Like if I'm sitting, well, you better be folding a piece of laundry. Like I don't know where that comes from, but
I don't know, but you and I both possess it. And I just feel like if I stop for a long period of time, I'm just wasting time.
yeah. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, great use of your time. Could have
Yeah.
gotten something like, because I think part of that comes from the fact that we're involved in a lot of things. And so they all need attention. But a lot of stuff, kind of like we're kind of juggling, So like if we're spending time not doing anything or just chilling, then it's like, well, one of those balls that's up in the air we're trying to juggle could have been tended to, but it wasn't, but that's not really the way to think about it.
No, and you and I both know because we have said it. We know that rest is biblical, and I still refuse to do a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just can't bring myself to slow down because I just feel like I'm wasting time.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. The word like lethargy comes in to my head a lot, even though that's not the case. That's just not true. So I don't know. I think it's just kind of a mix of all of those things of like, but also when there's people that need you and that you are constantly trying to entertain and make sure they're fed well and teach them things and show them things and experience. And, I think part of that comes into of like, well, I could be doing something for someone else, you know? And I mean, part of that comes from a little bit of Bible stuff too, of like serving others and treating others well. I do have a verse though that I thought was kind of cool. It's very short. It's Matthew 22:39. Love your neighbor as yourself. And when I kind of looked and did a little bit of research on the verse, the reflection is we are supposed to care for others, but not instead of ourselves. It doesn't say love your neighbor instead of yourself. There is an assumption of self-care here. Loving ourselves allows us to love others, which that's the famous thing, right? You put your own airplane mask on before you do anybody else's, because if you passed out, you're not putting anybody else's mask on.
You are correct. That's a great analogy.
So I don't know. There is a guilt factor, but it is biblical. It is a need of rest. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others. But I think too, there's like the money factor too of like, oh, well, not just like, oh, I hid in my room for a while.
Right.
And read a book or journaled. I went to a coffee house and spent, $20 on a bagel and coffee, and like nobody else got to experience that, that's just silly though.
No, and you're right. Because I know that we've touched on it, but even Jesus took breaks and he did model balance and not burnout. And the whole Sabbath principle is just that we need to remember that rest is sacred and not selfish.
Yes.
And I do feel like that's a harder pill for me to swallow. That rest is sacred and not selfish.
I think too, for moms especially, well, and for dads from a work perspective, when you are quote unquote resting the way our culture rests, but aka vacation, things like that, there's a ton of work that leads up to it. There's a ton of work that ends it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a week of, okay, I wasn't here last week, so now we have to catch up.
Yeah.
And so I saw this guy. I'm highly educated, YouTube educated,
Mm-hmm.
highly. I
Highly.
mean, oh, you should see my degrees. And there's a financial like guru guy, and he was saying, he's like, I don't like to think about taking vacation anymore. He's like, because vacation is exhausting because there's so many things that have to be done after you get home. He's like,
yeah.
so he said, the way that me and my wife started, quote unquote, taking vacation is that we leave our house and we go on a trip or we travel, meaning that they still do the basic routines. They still check email early in the morning. They still and I think you have to be careful with that, because if you're going to get tied up into something or it's going to wrap you up for the day or something like that, then no, maybe you should let that lie. But if you're going to check some emails, give somebody a quick reply, make a quick phone call, and you're done, and that can ease your mind for the week and save you a whole day's worth of work. Get it done.
Absolutely.
I mean, and even that perfect example this past weekend, Matt is at a position now where he does a lot of things remotely. He goes and visits job sites and he does things like that. But there's a big part of his job that is done on the computer. Well, we got up. I guess we're officially old because we get up super early now, no matter what we're doing or up.
You can't sleep in?
Yeah, no sleeping in. Mm-mm. And so we were both up and we were camping. And so he was like, I'm going to go ahead and grab my laptop. I'm like, oh yeah, go ahead. So he goes out and he sits at the picnic table. I mean, we're sitting by the river. It's a beautiful morning. We're sipping coffee together, but he was technically working. And the boys come out like, oh, you're working, you're camping, you can't work. I'm like, okay, pause. There's two ways you can think about this. I think I've made this point before. You can either be like, ooh, I'm working on my vacation. Or you can be like, hey, we're all camping together and he's getting some work done. He's working from the campsite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
better to be working from the picnic table than the cubicle.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that kind of helps with stuff like that of like, is this really something you should be guilty about? Should we feel guilty about working, while we're spending time with family or vacationing? Or, especially for kids, can we involve them in something? Like that led into Abel looking over his shoulder and he's like, wow, what are you looking at? He's looking at CAD drawings for roadways. And so he was like, whoa,
super interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got like an insight in what his dad did. He got to hear a couple of conversations. He was looking at all these plans. It was kind of neat. So, I think just maybe kind of being conscious about not allowing that to eat away at us. Like, hey, there's, are we grateful for what, this situation?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that go into why we feel that way, but most of it is probably not justified.
And I think there's a fine line. I think you can definitely overwork on your vacation. And then it's like, what was the whole point of even coming out and doing this if all I did was sit here and do work and not take advantage of spending the time with my family or whatever. Yeah. I do think that there's a line that you can cross there.
One thing even for me too, though, is like just getting up and like still exercising and still trying to like watch like my calories and, stuff like that. Cause like I've spent most vacations. I'm like, I don't do any exercise. I don't try to keep, get my steps in. I eat whatever I want. Then I come home. I'm like, oh man,
feel like I've just crashed out.
Yes. Whereas now I'm like, all right, girl, and that kind of comes too if you get to do more traveling, if you kind of add a trip every year, things like that, you're spending more time doing those type of things. I think it is kind of important to think about, okay, we need to regulate a little bit, and part of that is like, how can we still keep the peace when we leave,
Yeah.
and not feel guilty while we're there and not feel guilty about, the things that we're doing. Part of it is just keeping it up. One thing though that is a big factor for me too is the money side of it. Like if I'm going out and spending money on something for myself, like when we went on my girls trip, I had to spend a few $100 on a plane ticket. Oh, that made me feel so bad because it's not my money. I mean, Matt will be like, yes, it is your money. But I'm like, yeah, but you were the one that was working 12 hours to put it in the bank account.
But let me say that spending money does not always mean that you're wasting money.
No, that's very true.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And investing in yourself matters. Because we talked about it very early on when we started this whole podcast, was that, we feel like we're better moms, not only because we work, but because we do take time for ourselves. Even if it's a short, whatever, an outing to go get a pedicure.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to go last Saturday with Josh's family and celebrate his aunt who's turning 50. And there were 6 or 7 of us. We went to lunch and then we went shopping around town at a couple different places.
Yeah.
Wasn't anything extravagant, but for several hours, got to enjoy myself with some of the other girls in the family. I didn't have to worry about the kids, if they were being fed, even if they were, what they were doing at the moment. They were with Dad. I knew they were good.
Yeah.
And it was nice to just basically take a brain break from momming.
Yeah.
And getting to hang out with some other ladies and, talk about things that didn't have to do with dino trucks or Minecraft and
girl, I know so much about Fortnite. It's crazy.
And those are my baby's interests. And when I'm with them, that's fine. But being able to take a break from it was so nice.
Yes. Yep.
And just get to mingle with the ladies. And again, I just don't feel like, we spent some money on lunch. We spent some money at the stores. And of course, in typical mom fashion, even though you're out shopping with your girlfriends and stuff, you're still looking at stuff for your kids.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not looking at stuff for yourself. But it was nice. And I didn't feel super guilty about anything. I was just out enjoying myself with some fam.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that videos years ago when it was popular and the guy's like, my wife tries to hide her fact that she spent money on by telling me what kind of good deals she got when she gets to home.
Oh,
she's like, look at these shoes. They were 50% off.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, I bought new shoes, she's like, oh, but they were only
such a deal.
Yeah, it was such a deal. I couldn't pass it up. That cracked me up because that was so me. I'm always like, yes, I did get this. However, you should have seen the price tag. I'm like proud of my deal hunting. Like,
now, are you one of those? Because disclaimer, I totally am. It's like, as a mom, I've got sports bras that are 10 years old and my kids have like the brand new wardrobe in their closet.
Yes.
Totally guilty of that.
Example, a couple weeks ago, we were in Florida. Matt was like, let me tell you something right now. You need to throw those shorts away. And I was like,
no
what?
way, Jose.
Why? He was like, Amanda, there are holes in the butt. I was like, they're just
but they're so comfortable.
Tiny holes. They're like pinholes. He's like, that might have been pinholes last year, but this year they are bigger holes than you think they are. He's like, and if you saw those holes, you would get on to me for not telling you about them. He's like, so now I'm telling you, throw those away. So I got to thinking about it. I'm like, my Lord, these were like those MJ Softy shorts.
Oh, yeah.
It was like from high school.
Like the cheerleading shorts?
Yeah.
Yes. I know exactly which ones you're talking about.
I was like, yeah, that's I think that's justified to throw that away.
Probably time to part ways with these bad boys. But no, I do it. And it's like, because there are times where I would feel guilty like making a purchase for myself, but I will never hesitate to do it for my kids.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think
word. My phone has rang twice. I thought it was on
trying to
silent,
get your attention.
but it is not. No, one would think it was an important call, but one was Matt, so that was important. I still
Is the other one spam?
yes.
Spam likely?
So annoying.
I know. I hate that.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
But yes, the clothes and all the clothes especially, I feel guilty about that kind of stuff because, you come home and you're like, so I do it a lot. I'm like, oh, I kind of had something similar to that. It might be a decade old,
Yeah.
but when I get new stuff, and there's a guilt factor too because sometimes I'm like, I bought myself, a pair of shoes because the soles of mine were gone. I bought the kids a new shirt because it was like $5, and then I get home and I'm like, I don't have anything for Matt.
Oh yeah. I'm not terrible about getting Josh stuff while we're out and about, but he does do a lot of his online shopping, and I think we've covered this too. He absolutely is the one in this house that gets the most Amazon packages,
Yeah.
and it's not close. He's definitely the online shopper of the two of us, so no guilt factor from him when it comes to adding to cart.
Well, and one thing is too, like I like a $20 shirt. I'm like, oh man, do I really need that? He's looking at tractors.
Right. Yeah.
Big
difference.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yes.
or 4-wheelers, or look at this Polaris. I'm like, okay, I feel guilty about spending $20.
Yeah.
You're talking tens of thousands of dollars here. Like,
But have you seen the thing too where it's like and this is Josh to a T. It's like, I'm not worried about my husband talking to another woman. I'm worried about him meeting Steve off of Facebook Marketplace with the piece of heavy equipment.
Yep. Yeah, you're like, oh, what is that? Like, yeah, the videos are like, this is how I spend money. And she's got like an Amazon package. And this is how he spends money. He's got this massive boat.
Yeah. I told Josh, I said, you are the epitome of the guy that needs the hat that says, Jesus saves and I spend. And so that might be in the works. But I will tell you, I will not turn down a Comfort Colors t-shirt. That's that's my guilty pleasure. Comfort Colors t-shirts, I'm in.
I'm a tank top kind of gal, nice soft tank top. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to have them in every color.
Yep.
If I find one that fits right, I'm like, oh, we are buying the load.
Give it to me in all the colors.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, so there are a couple of things, like a couple of little maybe things that might help. Like if you're feeling this guilt factor and you're, really kind of being hard on yourself as mama, there are some things that you can maybe do like a little checkup on. So, like if you're feeling guilty about spending time, spending money, maybe like check the voice. Like, where is this coming from? Is this coming from God? Is he like trying to is he playing the rumble strips, as pastor says?
Right,
is he trying to rein you back in? Like, hey, come on now. Or is this just a guilt factor of your own that you have created in your mind that is silly and not justified? And one thing is I kind of made a realization the other day. I saw this really funny video, totally inappropriate, but hilarious, on Instagram, I think. And it was a song about her husband. And she was like, he takes good care of me. And I'm like, that is part of taking care of us. We have our roles. And if you have a husband that is taking care of you, part of that has to be a money factor.
Sure.
It just is. Like, it's just a realization. So check the voice. Where is this guilt coming from? Maybe if you are somebody who, if you guys stick to a budget, maybe there should be like a mom margin or little mom stuff set aside. Because, I know Matt goes out to lunch every day. He adults all day long. He doesn't spend money on himself a ton and go, stop by Bass Pro every time he, on the way through.
Josh.
That was not meant to
Josh
throw any stones, but no, but but maybe if there is a guilt factor, if you can factor it in, even if it's like, hey, I need like $10 for 2 Starbucks trips.
Sure,
hey,
yeah.
If that's what you want to do, factor that in, and then if you have that, maybe even it's just a 20 in your purse. Once the 20's gone, fine, it's gone.
Yeah, it's
you
gone.
did your mom stuff. You had your thing. Or, and I really love this tip: practice receiving without explaining. This is just like if someone offers to help you, or if somebody, you get your free time, you get to experience something, you get to go on a girls' trip. Just that of like, okay, I'm going to justify this to myself. I'm going to explain this to everybody. Well, I haven't ever done this before, or no, just stop. Practice receiving without it explaining. I like that.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. It reminded me of what somebody told me a long time ago about receiving a compliment. Women will explain away a compliment faster than anybody on the planet. Like, oh gosh, I love your dress. Oh, thank you so much. It was half off.
Yeah.
Or oh, I got a great deal. Or oh, thank you. But oh, it's 10 years old. It's like nope.
Just receive it.
Say, oh, thank you so much. Done.
Done. Yep. Nope. That's a
Like,
good point.
Receive it. Allow for it.
I feel like when I try to be very positive with friends and family, you look wonderful today, you smell good,
Mm-hmm.
just little things. And I feel like as being someone that often gives out compliments, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
That's the feedback most of the time.
Yep. Yeah, we want to bring it down.
Yeah.
We want to take it away from ourselves. Like, nope, try not to do that. It's okay. We
It's
went
okay
on a
to
trip.
just say thank you.
Yep, it's okay to receive it. It's okay to receive a compliment. It's okay to receive that self-care. It's okay to receive that time, and just say thank you. And you are allowed to.
Yes.
So.
Because I think we need to also, in this same realm of things, when the guilt starts creeping in, just to ask ourselves if the decision is wise and within our means. Again, will this investment make me a better mom, a better wife, a better daughter of God? And are we ultimately modeling a healthy balance for our children?
Oh, that's true too.
'Cause I
Guilty
think-
moms make guilty kids.
That's right. And I think that they need to see that, oftentimes, I would say more so, hunting season rolls around.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh will go with his dad, his cousins, a friend group multiple times throughout the hunting season on trips, even if they're short trips.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to be the winter months, they'll go on a duck hunting trip, which
Mm-hmm.
usually takes them a little farther out. There's not a ton of ducks around here that they can go and hunt. There's a couple of places, but it generally takes them up to like the Kentucky-Tennessee border.
Mm-hmm.
And which is, a 7 or 8 hour road trip,
Right.
long weekend off with the guys. And so they see dad take some time for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay that they can see mom take some time for herself too.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
go on a long weekend beach trip with girlfriends, family members, whatever, like you said, a trip out to, sometimes it's just nice to go and get your groceries by yourself.
Yes. It's
It's actually amazing to go
Oh my
and get your
gosh.
groceries by yourself.
Listen, I thought that was going to get easier, like as they got older, because they're not screaming in the cart. And
No,
doing
they're more expensive.
Oh my word, it's worse.
It's way worse.
I told my kids the other day, I was like, you guys make shopping miserable.
And
it's
expensive.
not my favorite thing to do anyways. And now I'm absolutely furious every time I walk out because I've had to say, no, we're not buying that. No, I don't want to do that. No, you don't need that. 150 times.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, drives me crazy.
Which is, it's so funny because like Josh's mom almost refuses to take Holt with her to the grocery store because she's like, Laura, he costs me an extra $50 every time we go. And I'm like, I know.
Yes.
I'm aware.
Yeah, and there's guilt factors there too. Because
Yes.
after you say no 100 times, you're like, all right, now you're getting stuff you want, and then you've got cereal and all this stuff in the cart that you didn't want, that's not good for anybody, but you're buying it.
But there it
anyways.
is.
Yeah.
Scan-
Yes.
Go ahead, scan it.
So crazy. I know. Yes. So, and I get one last quick little point. We've gone long, but one last little point is for your boys, if someone was expecting them as adults to not go for themselves, to not do for themselves, to not spend money on themselves, you would not be okay with that. If
No,
their
you wouldn't
wife,
like that.
or girlfriend was always like, no, you can't do that. And same for daughters. If, as an adult, she is, she's doing well and, but her husband is like, No, you're not going. No, you can't do that. No, you don't need that. No, you're not going to spend money on that. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want them to feel like, oh yeah, no,
Too much of a control factor.
Right.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want them in those situations. So we should not allow that to be modeled of like, no, that's okay. We can do for ourselves. We need to show that, and taking care of ourselves is important. So
yeah, and that's very true, because it also ties into, I love the phrase, who you marry matters.
Mm-hmm.
And for so many different reasons, but having a supportive spouse is a game changer.
Yeah.
Because knowing that I can go to Josh and go, hey, whoever, your mom and your cousins and your aunts, want to plan a girls' trip in the fall up to Pigeon Forge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about being told, no, you can't go, or I would rather you not, or whatever. It's just, it's support factor, and it's reciprocal,
Mm-hmm.
because I almost never tell Josh no to anything with him wanting to go and do either.
Yeah.
As long as there's not some like major family function.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if we're available, if we don't have any plans, go.
Yeah.
And so he will, and often, especially with the boys fishing. But I also know that I also have that same like support if I want to go and do something.
Right. Yep.
So that's huge. And, joy is contagious. And when you're filled up, you pour out from a place of strength. And going away doesn't mean that you're neglecting your family. It means that you value them enough to go.
Yeah.
And take the time to pour back into yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
And one of my favorite podcasters is a gentleman out in Arizona, and he actually is real big on always having fun on the calendar. Like that's one of his things, is having fun, having something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Even if it's something small, he's real big on having something fun on the calendar that either you look forward to going and doing, just like you and Matt.
Right.
And something with all four of you.
Yeah.
And
that is true. Having that, like, that's coming up, that is awesome.
Yeah, because that and it really does. If you've got absolutely nothing, like we're in June, if you've got nothing to look forward to over the next couple of weeks or months,
yeah,
like I feel like it changes things.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally does. Even if it's small, it doesn't have to be a big major trip. Just something like, hey, we're going to do this day.
Yeah.
We're going to
whatever, a concert.
Yeah.
Like I said, trying a new city or town, or a new restaurant, or it doesn't have to be big and elaborate.
No. Go into a swimming hole.
Yes. Kerrigan Farms.
Yes. Yep. All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. We all know that the only reason Laura and I get to do this is because of our amazing producers, Stay Stoked Creative Co. So if you would like to know more about his company and what he does and his amazing work, you can check that out in the show notes below. Also, I write a newsletter called Wealthy Kids Academy. We do a monthly newsletter all about kids, family, and money. If you would like to check that out, there's a lot of parenting stuff in there. There's a lot of money stuff in there. So don't forget about that too. And we have had a little one pitter patter into the studio.
I need one of those like red recording lights on outside the door. Like we're live. Like no entry.
Well, that's okay. He was absolutely silent. My phone made more noise than he did. So that's awesome. He has pitter-pattered out now, but he pitter-pattered in, went all the way to the end corner and came back. So, and the fact that he said nothing, he did great.
He hung out with Daniel for a second and off he went.
Yep, he did great. So,
all right. So, hey, you're not just a mom. You're a woman loved by God. And giving yourself permission to rest and reconnect isn't a sign of weakness or wastefulness. We feel like it's wisdom. And you are better for your family when you are filled, refreshed, and free.
Love it.
Amen.
Have a wonderful summer, rest of your summer. We're not going anywhere. We hope to be back. Schedules permitting, we hope to be back on our regular schedules again, and we will have the guys soon. Enjoy yourself. Pick something. Get away from the guilt factor, allow it, and enjoy this time of warm weather and summer break.
That's right. Y'all be blessed.
Amen.
See ya.